My name is Trevor Avery. I'm the director of the Lake District Holocaust Project based on the first floor of Windermere Library. Good evening, Lake School. My goodness. Firstly, I would like to thank Luke for inviting me to this amazing gathering. I've never seen this hall so full. I actually began collecting the stories of the Jewish children an unbelievable 20 years ago. But we actually began by interviewing people who had lived on Calgarth Estate. More than likely your parents, your grandparents, and even your great-grandparents. Pilots, engineers, cooks, office workers, all kinds of people connected to the Flying Boat Factory and the local community. In fact, it was someone who had lived at Calgarth, a chap named Brian Crossland, who is still with us, who first told me about, as he put it, the children from Auschwitz. The rest, as they say, is history. There are stories in our archives in Windermere that truly illustrate the special relationship between the survivors and the community that opened its heart to them. The Windermere Children film touched on those relationships, and the stories in the film, most of them came from our archives. But there are many, many stories not featured in the film drama. And it's interesting to recognize that a good percentage of stories depicted in the film actually came from local people and were then verified by the survivors themselves. For instance, my dear friend Ike Alterman recalls how he felt guilty eating tomato soup for the first time in years. In his words, the people in Calgarth didn't have much themselves. They weren't rich. And here they were standing around watching us eating this banquet of tomato soup and white bread. I set his mind at ease by telling him the truth. The Calgarth folk had actually pooled together their ration coupons so that the Jewish children could have a special treat, and that they were actually taking pleasure in seeing him and his friends polishing it off so enthusiastically. He had no need to feel guilty any longer. Then there was the mother of a teenage boy called Kevin, who used to visit her son in hospital here. One day when she visited Kevin, she found he had a new friend in the bed next to him. The new friend was Mendel, one of the Jewish children who was also very ill and didn't know any English. Without a second thought, Kevin's mother sat down on a chair between the two beds and reached out one hand to hold Kevin's hand and the other to hold on to Mendel's hand. Kevin still cries at the memory of it. And believe it or not, Kevin and Mendel are still in touch with each other over 80 years later. Kevin here in Westmoreland and Mendel in Florida. Now, I'm sure many of you will know there was a school on this site before the Lake School. But I wonder how many know this story. Miss Dixon, the head teacher of what was Calgarth School, tells the story of one of her pupils from the school winning a necklace at the annual summer gala. Miss Dixon watched on as the little Calgarth girl collected her prize, but then watched her walk straight over to one of the little Jewish girls standing nearby, and she gave her the necklace. Why? Because she has nothing. I have been associated with the Lake School for 20 years, and I know one thing, that the spirit of kindness that I've just illustrated is strong in the children at this school today. The exhibition and archives at the library, you're all welcome to visit and take a journey through time that begins in 1909 with Edward Wakefield and his Hydro aeroplanes. It passes on through the story of the Flying Boat Factory at Whitecross Bay, Cargarth Estate, and on through Droomer Estate, all the way to the present day. And the story of the 300 Jewish children is enveloped and embraced within it. This is your story, and it's a story that needs to be told more today than ever it was. Thank you.